Good afternoon, everybody. This is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my stream. Everything that I say in here is backed up by research, by knowledge, by experience, and therefore, most of it is a hypothesis based on the information that can lead to a theory. I will discuss that later on. If this is your first time here, hit a like, subscribe if you like what I do, leave me a comment. If I've spoke on something wrong or if I misquoted something, please let me know because I don't like to be putting stuff out there that is not relevant or even just hearsay. I'm more about making sure that I put the right stuff out there and that it's reliable and that it can be proven rather than debunked. And that's why I use a lot of Google searches. That's why I use textbooks. That's why I use videos that I watch. But I do the best I can. I'm still new at this, so I hope that you're enjoying the videos streaming that I am doing. I hope that you enjoy the information. Today, I want to talk about addiction versus myth and put it in regard to the Idaho 4, okay? Because not only is the suspected killer, he supposedly had a heroin addiction back in his childhood. And the house in which the murders took place was supposedly a party house. And there's been a lot to talk about drugs, alcohol, and criminal behavior. So I want to first start by giving you the definition of what addiction means. And here we go. Addiction is a chronic, treatable medical disease that involves a complex interaction between genetics, brain circuits, and environment, and an individual's life experiences. It's defined as a serious chronic dependence on a substance or activity. So let's talk about that a little bit. You know what? It says it's a chronic, treatable medical disease that involves a complex interaction between your genetics, meaning that it could be passed on from someone in your family, brain circuits, meaning that the more you take it, the more you ingest it, the more that it changes your psyche. It changes your psychological functioning, your thinking, the environment, how you perceive your environment, how you react to it, either on or off the chemicals, and a person's life experiences. Okay, so that being said, let's look at Mr. Kohberger. Some of his life experiences early on, as it's been stated by numerous people, whether it's true or whether it's not, it's still been stated. It's stated that he had a heroin addiction that was pretty bad. Even a childhood friend was on TikTok stating that she gave him a ride to go pick up some heroin one point and she didn't realize that she was doing that. And it made her angry and they lost touch because of that. Another time he was arrested for supposedly stealing his sister's iPhone and pawning it. So, based on that definition I just gave you, life experiences tell you that if individuals start off early on with this criminal like behavior and they're also having an addictive mindset, that it just doesn't go away because you decide to stop using drugs or alcohol or whatever it is that is changing the way you feel. So, here's a hypothesis for you. He supposedly cleaned up, started college, started excelling in his studies. Could his studies have become his new high, so to speak? Could his studies and focus and even almost obsessiveness with his studies have become his new addiction? Because anybody that knows anything about addictive behaviors, you understand that it's not just drugs and alcohol you can become addicted to. The simplest definition of addiction is this: if you've ever tried something and you enjoy it and it becomes problematic and you try to quit and you can't, then you're addicted. That's the most simple definition. So let's get back to Mr. Kohberger. So let's say he shut one off and turned another one on. He shut the heroin addiction down. He got treatment. He got help. So he obviously was dealing with a lot of darkness at his early parts of life, as it's been reported. You know, he had a lot of depression, a lot of lack of empathy, felt like he was just watching somebody's life go by, and that reminds me of Mr. Elliot Rodger, where he wrote his manifesto, where he would pretty much be looking from the outside in. You're disconnected from reality because you're so used to being high all the time that whenever you do sober up, you don't immediately just come back into the here and now. You stay disconnected. You have your personalities changed, your thinking patterns are changed, your responses, um your timing about certain things changes. And also it says he changed his diet because of his weight. So let's think about that a little bit. So he started working out, started doing boxing. He wanted to be a law enforcement officer, obviously, or something in that capacity. So he started working out, losing weight, getting fit, watching what he ate. Some people call that discipline, some people call that obsessiveness, and some people call it a new addiction. Because you know what? Whenever you drop one for another and you cannot stop this one thing, especially whenever you've been at class all day and your anxiety or your stress or your annoyance builds up and you don't have any other way to bring it down but to exercise or to box or to study or whatever it might be. So you dive into that and you become very, very focused because this is getting you through life. And the same thing happens with people who are addicted to love, addicted to food, addicted to gambling, addicted to pornography. You know, when you're addicted to something, it changes the way you feel. So when the limbic system remembers that pleasure that you receive, it's hard to not keep chasing that. You know, heroin addicts, a lot of times they call it chasing the dragon. I used to work in a detox where we had people detoxing off opiates, heroin, alcohol. And a lot of times you can't detox cold turkey. You have to go into treatment, especially if it's any of those three, because your body can go into seizures, your blood pressure can drop, and you can die. So a lot of times you do have to go into treatment. There's no cold turkey. If you do it cold turkey and you survive, then you're a trooper. You know, I'm not saying that one size fits all, but I'm just saying, most of the time that doesn't happen. So let's fast forward to him getting his degrees from DeSalles, moving to Pullman to get his PhD in criminology. So he went to Pullman, and maybe his addiction had changed. Maybe he was still on his diet. Maybe he was still about his studies, but at this point, maybe he got lonely. Maybe he got lonely. And maybe he was seeking out another way to change the way he felt. Because if you've ever gone to college and you've ever been away from home, you understand that it's not easy to make friends, first of all. Two, if you're socially awkward, it's double hard to make friends and maintain them, you know. But obviously, he got two numbers supposedly at the pool party, so either he had some game or, he just bluntly just said, "Hey, can I have your number?" You know. So I want to throw a hypothesis at you. And this is not a theory because you can't prove it unless this is how it happened. This is a hypothesis. There's a lot of educated pieces that have been put together to present a potential theory, okay? I was thinking last night, what if he became obsessed with Dylan or Bethany? What if one of those became his object of desire? Because people are putting everything on one of the other four was the target because of how they got killed, what order they got killed. And they always have that question, well, why didn't he kill Dylan? Why didn't he kill Bethany? Did he become friends with them? Was he secretly crushing on one of them? Was he good friend with one of them? And possibly he took out the other four because something went wrong and he was playing the savior role. Because you have to work with criminal minded people to really understand it. I mean, if you put your emotions into it right now and you're saying, boy, you're crazy, 12 gauge, this doesn't make sense. You're just speculating. You're blaming the deceased. You're blaming those. But think about this. If you've ever been around criminal people, worked with criminals, which I have my whole life, my whole career, their thinking is not logical. You cannot go into a crime with a logical mindset because it isn't A plus B equals C. Do you get what I'm saying? A plus B does not equal C in their mindset. So him being the hero and taking out the other four because supposedly they were hurting or something, maybe the other two just didn't like him. Maybe the other two had issues, had beef. Who knows? But it doesn't take somebody to take out somebody if they are the object of your affection. You get what I'm saying? I've had many people say, on my kids, on my mama, on my grandma, I do this. So if you're willing to put somebody for you to commit a crime and make it okay in your head, then something as simple as possessiveness, brain not firing right, maybe he was just a robot type of person mentality. Or maybe he did what he had to do, but inside he was He was dead inside. He didn't have the capacity to feel empathy. He didn't have the capacity to have a conscience, but he did save somebody while he was a security guard. So that goes against everything unless he viewed it as something for gain. How am I going to gain something in helping this person? And I'm not trying to be shallow, but maybe she was hot. Maybe it was a professor. Maybe he thought, well, if I save him, I can call this favor up later on. Because you know what? That's what criminal-minded people do. I'm going to help you to get something back in return. I'm going to call up this favor later on. And you say, well, that is stupid. That don't make sense. But think about it. It does make sense. What if they fronted him drugs and then they were telling him about all the issues that were going on in the house? And he said, don't worry about it. I got you. Dylan said she didn't know him. She said she didn't recognize him. So maybe it was just Bethany that was close to him. I got you. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Because, as much as people don't want to address that sexist power plays a lot of roles into why people do what they do for other people, you're naive and mistaken. I've seen many people strung along, including myself. I'm not immune from this. Been strung along by a female where I've taken them to dinner, where I've paid their bill, where I've helped them with groceries, where I've paid for gas. All in the expectation in the mind, well, one day this is going to lead to the ultimate payoff. And when it didn't, there was a lot of rage there. Rage at myself for letting myself get played. But just think if I wasn't rational enough to have a conscience to stop that rage and I acted out on it and I went and I just leveled out a house within a couple minutes to equal the score. And at the same time help my buddy out who I was crushing on. You may think this is crazy, but I'm gonna upload another video discussing this even further in detail. I just wanted to give you the insight on what I'm working on. Y'all have a good one. I'll see you soon.